So let's talk about the Johnny Test reboot on Netflix. When I was a kid, Johnny Test was a show that aired on Cartoon Network a lot. It was a Canadian import show, so it was made in Canada. And, I think people who, don't remember Johnny Test don't understand that it was that generation's Teen Titans Go before that generation's Teen Titans Go. Because as soon as that show ended, a couple years later, Teen Titans Go took its place. Now Teen Titans Go was much worse in the sense that they aired that show. They had a marathon of that show where they literally aired nothing straight but that show for a week. And the thing about that marathon, though, was they pitched it as, we're showing every single episode. But they had to re-show episodes throughout that week because they didn't have enough demand to fill out an entire week of Teen Titans Go showing every single episode. That's how you know you're marathoning a show too much. I'm just saying. But the point is that, people really hate Johnny Test the same way they hated Teen Titans Go back in the day. The show, honestly, the original show, if you want to know my thoughts on it, not a good show. It was... there's a video on YouTube by a YouTuber called Nintendo who has a pretty interesting look into the history and development of the show that's pretty interesting. But the show itself is annoying sound effects, loud characters screaming, and nonsensical stories that aren't really that good. And for a kid, I know people are going to hate this, but I say for a kid, they're fine. People who don't like the show are going to be like, no, they deserve better. And I agree, there should be better shows than Johnny Test. But if your kid wanted to watch it, there are worse things they could be watching. That's all I'm saying. But let's talk about this show. This show is a Netflix reboot of the show. But I wouldn't even say it's a reboot. And the reason I say that is it's a revival. There are a few things that are different in this show, but they're very, very minor, and the show itself just acts like nothing changed. It acts like more Johnny Test. That's because it just is. It's more Johnny Test, except better animated, and with a few changes in voice actors and things. And the show, if you don't like Johnny Test, you are not gonna like this show. Which I kind of expected that from the trailer, but I still wanted to check out the show, see what it was like. Maybe it was better, maybe it was worse, and do a little video. I am not talking about this series if it gets a season 2. I'm sure this series will get a season 2 because Johnny Test was a very popular show. And while it isn't that popular now, if it was popular then with children, it could be very popular with them again. And having updated, better animation and things like that might actually help. I think the show looks significantly better than the original series. And yeah, it's fine. It's not a good show. But it wasn't like a horrible nightmare of a show. It was just a really annoying, bad show. But that's about it. Didn't really majorly piss me off. It just annoyed me. I think people overreact to this show. Not a good show, but it's also not that. Sorry, I have a huge window behind me, and where I record, and this huge window is leads to my backyard. It's like a fence, and I have chickens, and they walk behind here, and so sometimes they're how chickens are. They peck at things. Sometimes they like to peck the wall, and I'm like, what the hell's that noise? And I have to look over and be like, oh, it's the chicken. So sorry if you heard that. That's what that was. But yeah, this is just... I just thought I should talk about this show because I think a lot of people are going to start being very negative about it immediately, just on the premise that it is this show and it's not a good show. But I think what people need to acknowledge is that when a show's not made for you, there's no reason to act like that. I'm not saying, wow, this is a great show, I really enjoyed it. No, what I am saying is that it isn't made for you, so don't be over dramatic with how bad it is. You might not like it, but then again, it wasn't made for you. And I'm not saying just because something isn't made for you doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to enjoy it. That's Pixar movies are really great at that. But there are some times that it's okay for them just to be a kid show just for kids. Right? As long as it's not harmful, teach them bad messages or whatever the hell. You know what I mean? I think it's okay. Let's give the show a rest.